Hey guys, welcome back to Pewpew Academy. In our previous videos, we've done a lot of preparation work to get your account ready for PvP. Most of you who watch those videos have already started doing some sort of PvP, and I'm very happy to hear back from you guys that those videos have been helping. In today's video, we'll cover something a bit more advanced and a bit more specific. We are going to talk about some mechanics and skill interactions that not every new PvPer are aware of, and some of them could potentially help you make some flashy outplays. The first thing we'll talk about is potion swapping. This is something that is pretty useful in solo ganking. To explain this, first there's something you need to know about the mechanics around switching and equipping your gear. You should know by now that switching any equipment, including your food and potions, is only possible outside of combat, and switching most equipment or skills will put all of your skills on a global cooldown. But as you can see here, switching consumable, including potions, while you're outside of combat, does not put your skills on a global cooldown. Equipping any items, including food and potions, into an empty slot is possible during combat, but will also give you a global cooldown. So when we say potion swapping, we're talking about starting off with a poison potion and switching to a healing potion during a PvP engagement. This is possible in two ways. First, as you know now, switching potions during combat is not possible, but equipping a potion into an empty slot is possible. So if you split your potion stacks and equip only one potion at a time, then when you use that potion, you now have an empty equipment slot, and you can equip whatever you want into it. But keep in mind that equipping anything into an empty slot will put all of your skills on a global cooldown. So if you use this trick, make sure you equip the second potion only when you have already used all of your other skills and you're already waiting for cooldowns anyways. There's another and perhaps slightly better way to do this, and that's by changing the potion before you're actually in combat. When you throw a poison potion, there's a projectile delay time between when you throw the poison and when the poison actually hits. You will not be in combat until the poison actually hits the target. So you can throw your poison, and while the poison is mid-air, you can change it out to a healing potion. Since switching one type of potion for another while you're outside of combat does not give you a global cooldown, this will only put your potions on cooldown. But the disadvantage to this is that you'll only be able to use two types of potions. Whereas in the other method, since all of your potions are single stacks, you can switch them as you please while you're waiting for your other skills. So if you wanted to, you can engage with a poison potion, fight with a healing potion, and escape with the invisibility potion. Now let's talk about some skill interactions. The first fun fact to know is that all retaliations effect in the game do stack. In this video example, I'm using a Hunter Hood and a Spear. The Hunter Hood Retaliate gives you a defensive bonus and a 100% damage reflection effect. The deflecting spin skill on the Spear W does something similar, but with a 80% reflection effect. So you can see here that my friend Onesme is hitting himself for 20 damage per hit while I am using Retaliate, and 16 damage per hit while I am using deflecting spin. When I use the two skills together, you'll see that every time he hits me, he takes two separate hits himself, one for 20 and one for 16 damage. Also notice that the damage reflection is calculated with his own armor reduction. So while he is hitting me for only 7 damage, he's actually taking a lot more because he is naked. The Meteor skill on the Brimstone has a delay between when you're done channeling the spell and when the meteor actually hits, because the meteor takes a split second to drop. Most Brimstone players know this because they already use this by casting a Scholar Robe empowered Fireball as soon as they're done channeling the meteor, so the meteor and Fireball will land together to achieve a one-shot effect. But what you may not know or may not have thought of is, in a small scale or solo fighting situation, you can cast the meteor on yourself and use the Fin Sandals to swap a nearby enemy into the meteor while the meteor is dropping. The Great Nature Staff's Living Armor skill heals you for a small amount of damage every time that you take damage. This is also triggered by self-inflicted damage, so you can use it to cancel out the self-inflicted damage of the Specter Jackets. You can use this trick on yourself, which is a great way to help healers clear solo dungeons on their own, and you can also use it on an ally in PvP. If you use it on yourself, you can also use it in combination with a Hellion Hood in PvP. It's a pretty funny thing to watch when it works on people who are not expecting it. Also note that the Specter Jacket's effect, while it looks similar to Stalker Jackets and Hellion Jackets, it is actually different in that it is a toggled skill and it cannot be purged by things like Mage Robes or Fiend Decals. Hellion Jacket is a powerful sustain item for boosters. It is especially strong if you have some kind of damage buff on your weapon to go with it, because amplifying the damage on the Hellion Jacket will also amplify the healing you receive from it. When playing with a regular bow, notice that the cooldown on the E skill, Enchanted Quiver, has a 20-second cooldown and a 30-second duration. This means that you can get 2 Enchanted Quivers going back to back if you activate your E and wait for your E to come off cooldown a little bit, and then start attacking. This will give you 36 Enchanted Arrows instead of 18, and it'll do a lot more damage than 2 separate Enchanted Quivers if they weren't chained together, because Enchanted Quiver usually takes time to ramp up the damage, but if you change them back to back like this, then the second Enchanted Quiver will not require a ramp up time. The regular bow is also another weapon that's pretty good with a Hellion Hood, because you can keep attacking people with their damage buffs on you while you're in the smoke bomb. You can use dashing abilities while you're immobilized, but if you get hit by an immobilizing effect in the middle of a dash, your dash will be cancelled out. Onesme here is aiming to dash across the road, but as you can see here, he got hit by the snare charge, and he did not make it that far. Now on his screen, this will look very glitchy, as if he was rubber banding. It will look something like this. But what's actually happening is just that his dash is getting stopped early because he got immobilized. The Claw E removes all shields from targets being hit by it, so as you can see here, the bubble from my Night Boots disappeared when he started clawing me. But this does not apply to the shield from Cleric's Robe. The Cleric Robe's Everlasting Spirit skill is a invulnerability, and it's not actually coded as a shield skill. So although it looks visually similar to a shield, it's actually a invulnerability and it cannot be removed by Claw E. Also note that the Claw E applies a bleeding effect that gets refreshed over the duration of the skill. So if you are using a Guardian Helmet, make sure you use it after the Claw is done channeling to remove his bleed, otherwise it will just get reapplied. Focus Run on the Scholar Sandals allow you to resist stuns and immobilizing effects during its channel. Because it's a channeled ability, it also cannot be purged by Fincal, but it can be interrupted by knockbacks and displacements. And any skill that specifically says it interrupts skills on it, such as the Baton Bow E, Sword W Interrupt, and Mace W Snare Charge. Snare Charge has a snare and an interrupt effect on it. These two are separate effects that gets applied at different times. The snare hits before the interrupt does, so if you hit someone who's using Focus Run with it, first the snare gets applied and will be resisted, and then the interrupt will hit, and the channel of the Focus Run will be stopped. So you'll be able to interrupt a Focus Run with it, but you will not be able to snare the person using Focus Run with a snare charge. The Crossbow E is coded as a damage over time skill. The first tick of it hits when the projectile lands, and another tick will hit you after a brief delay for much more damage. Because it is a damage over time skill, you can remove it with a Guardian Helmet. If you're trying to block it with a Sword W Parry Strike, blocking the first initial hit will not prevent the dot from being applied to you. So the second, much larger hit will still hit you if you use your W to block the first hit. So instead, you should save your Parry Strike and use it to block the second hit. Using a Cleric Robe right before the Crossbow E lands will proc the invulnerability effect with the initial first tick damage, and the shield will last just long enough to block the explosion damage. Graveguard Armor's Soul Chain ability will pull your target to you after a brief delay. This pull can be blocked by Sword W Parry Strike. But if you want to attempt this on a sword, make sure you know that the skill description on the Graveguard armor's soul chain ability is actually incorrect. The skill description says that your target will be pulled to you after 3 seconds of being attached, but actually it's sooner than that. In fact, you will be pulled while the debuff is still counting down on you, as you can see here. So when you're trying to block it with a sword, use your W roughly 1 or 1.5 seconds after being attached. The Demon Helmet's Hush skill is coded as a buff, so it can be purged by Finicals. It can be purged by mage robes too if you hit the mage robe with something besides the auto attack, for example a Specter Jacket tick or a bleeding/poison tick before your auto attack lands. Otherwise, if you use the Demon Helmet and you auto attack right away, the silence will still be applied and the mage robe will not be able to purge it in time. Inner Focus on the spear gives you a stacking attack damage and movement speed buff. The longer you channel it, the more stacks you get. When purging this skill, make sure you do it at the end of the channel. Otherwise, you will purge off the existing stacks on the spirit user, but he will continue to channel and come out with a few stacks at the end. But if you purge it at the end, then he loses everything. The Mark of Sacrifice skill on the Hellion Shoes allows you to jump to an enemy from a very long distance after a short channel. While you're channeling, you will also be invisible. After the jump, you'll get a 35% damage buff for 4 seconds. The jump cannot take you over obstacles. So if you're running away from someone who just marked you with Hellion Shoes, you can try to put some terrain between you and your chaser, like these stairs over there, and that will stop them from reaching you with their jump. The channel can be cancelled early by pressing F again during the channel, so if you're using the Hellion Shoes, keep in mind that you don't have to complete the jump. However, since the buff is applied at the end of the jump, if you cancel early, you will not get the damage buff from it. The invisibility during the channel and the channel itself are both one buff, so stopping one will also make you lose the other. This means if you lose stealth from something like Stalker Hood or Sticky Potion, you will not be able to complete the channel. And if your channel is interrupted by something like a snare charge, you will also lose your stealth. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please remember to like, subscribe, and jump into my Twitch if you got any questions. If you think there's any cool, interesting mechanics that I missed, please mention it in the comments below, and I'll be sure to include it in the discussion video that will follow.